Hello, folks, and welcome back to the Marketing and Business Show. Guys, it's been a little while, and I want to apologize. I wasn't feeling well last week, and unfortunately, because of that, we weren't able to record a podcast episode. But we are back. We are back, and we're back stronger than ever. Alex, how are you doing?
Good. I don't think you have to apologize for being ill.
No, but I'm just disappointed we didn't get an episode out last week, but there was just no way it was going to happen.
Just so much going on, and you were ill.
It wouldn't have been inspiring, to be honest. So no, we had to call it quits. We had to just say, nope, wasn't happening. But Alex, I listened to that other podcast you were on.
Oh, nice, cool. Quite a long one.
Yeah. I didn't listen to it all, to be honest. I listened to about 15 minutes and I was like, all right, I'm heading off now. But one thing I did like about it was the audio quality was just crisp. I have to say it was very
great, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, the guy had a pretty good setup.
I could tell. I liked it. I was like, wow, Alex's voice has never sounded as professionally rendered ever. So I was like, wow, that's very good.
It was good. But I enjoyed doing that. It was good.
I'd say so. I'd say it's like so different to do like sometime we'll have to just record an episode in person because like as good and all as this is online, Riverside, fair play to you, but I think there's something different to be doing it like in a live kind of like, I don't want to say studio, but in the one place.
Yeah, it's different, isn't it?
What did you notice?
Just the interaction's way different when you're in person, like it is with anything. Like if you're on a phone call or you're on a Zoom call versus talking to someone like actually in person, it's way different. I think both of us felt that. It was good. It was good. I think we kind of had a loose idea of where we wanted to take the conversation. Alan, who had me on his podcast, he had an idea of where he wanted the podcast to go, or why he brought me onto the podcast. And he kind of just asked me some pretty cool open-ended questions that kind of went off in different rabbit holes and different paths and different ideas. So it was really cool.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, definitely, we'll have to do it sometime and see how it goes because it's something I've never done before as a podcast in person. I just think that'd be so cool. But what I want to talk about this week and something that I've had this little like realization, and probably like one of many I'm having. And maybe it's because I'm creating content. Maybe it's because I'm creating these episodes. Maybe it's because like I'm doing my TikTok and I'm doing my YouTube shorts. I'm just creating all this stuff. And people say when you start doing that, you really start figuring out, I don't want to say figure out yourself more, but you figure out, maybe you do figure out yourself more, but you figure out your direction more and what you're kind of doing, right? So I'm reading this really cool book at the moment, right? And I just picked it up last night from my library. For those of you watching the video edition behind me here now, I like to say I have a library, but I don't know if it's a library, but it's quite cool. And it's by a man called Simon Sinek. Sinek, Start with Why. Have you ever read that?
I have, yeah. I've watched a video on it. I've read the book. It's cool.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing.
He has a really good. The guy has a really good TED talk as well on that.
Well, I'm definitely going to watch it. Right?
It's quite a famous one.
Okay. Well, I started reading this last night, and I was like, he talks about. Instead of starting the how and the what, start with the why. Like, why do you do something, right? And I started applying this to everything in my life, and I started realizing like I had all these kind of like more revelations, right? Just figuring out like why am I doing things a certain way, or why are other people doing things a certain way? And then I started thinking like, hold on, so what we're doing and the different businesses we're involved in and stuff like that, like instead of thinking about people in terms of like what and how and very very analytical kind of like they need to do this. Start thinking about like, well, why are they doing it? And I just realized it's so much more than it's not about Amazon products. It's not about like better ad costs. It's not about their YouTube video doing better. It's about them reaching a spot in their life nearly. Like it's nearly like it's about growing nearly. That's what I kind of realized.
Yeah. When did I read that book? I read that maybe a couple of years ago, and that was kind of like a breakthrough book for me. It makes you think about things from a different light. And like you said, it makes you approach things differently. And then if you can approach things differently, ask better questions, then you get better answers. That's what I found. That was my biggest takeaway from it.
But I often thought about better questions, better answers. But for some reason, just reading it yesterday, I was kind of I realized that maybe all the time I'm just bringing it back to social media and kind of in the content and this show and kind of everything we're doing, because we started this show, but it was there was no this is the exact person we're looking for. It was kind of we're just going to start creating these podcasts and we'll see what happens. But it's starting to become apparent that the people that are engaging with us, or maybe the people that are watching in the distance, are kind of they're being inspired by us doing these things. So maybe in our vulnerability and kind of just going out there and creating, we are inspiring them to follow us. But the why is we're doing it to inspire them to take that action as well. So it's kind of that's the why, kind of. Does that make any sense?
Yep, totally agree. Yep, makes total sense.
Yeah, so that was my revelation, and that's something that I kind of figured out over the last 24 hours. And I actually went and started using it then. So I went on to my TikTok, which again is something that I'm really doubling down on. I've got 155 subscribers now, which I know for a lot of people is very small fry, right? But bear in mind, that's after about 2.5 weeks. And I won't count last week because literally I didn't do a lot last week. I had great intentions, but I couldn't. But what I've discovered is by being more honest, by being more authentic, by being more real, that why, if I start pushing that why out, which I'm trying to do now, I'm very interested to see where that'll go, because that might resonate with people better.
100%. I mean, if you didn't have that why, you would be creating content. I'm just still talking about TikTok.
Yeah.
But with a clear why, there's always an end goal to it. So for this, it's you have an end goal of growing an audience, getting them to take the next step in something else, I assume. And it's all about delivering value to them. And then I almost think when you have a clear thought on that, you can literally come up with unlimited content ideas. You don't have a bottleneck, which I think is really inspiring.
Absolutely. It's funny though. I think the people. I think it also, it gives you permission to actually create stuff and not be thinking, well, hold on a minute, will the audience like this? It's kind of well, does this fit with my why? Why I'm doing this? And if why I'm doing this is to inspire people to take action, well, a lot of things will fit with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if everything you do is tied to the why, then you can't really make a bad decision, really. If you run it through a filter, if you're hesitant to do something, or you're questioning well, should I take this action to do this, or should I post this type of video, or should I speak to this person? And then you run it through the filter of does it contribute to my why? Does it help me get closer to that reason or that goal? And if it's a yes, then obviously take the step. If it's a no, then maybe reconsider.
Yeah, that's pretty mad. And tell us this, when you're creating, say, a new channel or a new website or anything, do you always put it back to the why? Do you put why am I doing this, or what's the why, or do you always have a why?
Yeah, good question. I feel I've developed a strong why in the last couple of years, and that has driven me through everything, and it still does. So if I feel like I'm struggling with something, or I'm asking myself, what's the point in doing this? And even though I know full well it's contributing to the bigger reason of what I'm doing something for, then that'll almost be an extra bit of motivation, if you like. I don't usually like the word motivation. I've never really been a person to need motivation. There's people who I'm going to wait until I get motivation to do something, or I'm going to wait until I get inspiration to do something. I'm a bit if you have a strong enough why, then you shouldn't need motivation. I've never been motivated. I feel I've just done the right things. Obviously I've done wrong things and then realized, crap, that's not the right thing that I should be doing. But again, if if you're taking steps towards something that is contributing to the bigger reason, you shouldn't need motivation. It should just be, you should almost be like pulled towards your goals or pulled towards whatever it is you're working towards, like this TikTok thing you're doing. So I remember talking to you about this like last year or like maybe 6 months ago, and you were a bit like, why would I need to be on TikTok? Well, you weren't saying that, but I feel there was a reason why you weren't doing it. You're just like, well, maybe TikTok's not for me. And then I don't know what it was. It was the light switch on. We talked about this on one of the episodes, didn't we? About how you got a load of views on a short video on YouTube, and then it was like, boom, light switch has gone off. That's the catalyst. And then you kind of had all these. You have all these ideas that go off in your head, thinking, wow, the potential of this is literally crazy. But if you try and explain it to someone who hasn't had that realization, it's pointless. You know?
Yeah. Well, like I've had to disconnect though too, like in terms of, like I always knew I had to start creating content, right? And doing all this. And I've tried to do it before in the past, and I've always ended up just stopping, right? Whereas now I'm not stopping. Like the reality is I'm kind of on this train now, and it's just going to keep trugging along nice and slow, you know, compounding. But I always was always looking for someone's permission to do it. But there was no one like obviously to give permission, but I was looking for that permission. But also I just wasn't, it was trying to make it all perfect. Whereas now my why is like, well, if a video doesn't do a lot of views, or if a short doesn't do particularly well, or a TikTok doesn't do particularly well, I'm not nearly discouraged. I'm kind of like, all right, well, let's do the next one, because the why is, and I think you can have a few whys at once, right? So why do I create content? I create content because I want to, but also because I feel it inspires others, but it also helps me grow. So there's a few whys in one. I think you can have more than one why. I think a business can have a why. Me and you working together can have a why. And they can all kind of complement each other, if you kind of get me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that.
The book doesn't necessarily talk about that. It doesn't necessarily say that, but I'm just thinking that myself. So once it all comes back to the why and why it's important, it's nearly like I'm happy to do it. And it kind of gives me confidence just to keep doing it. And like TikTok, for example, for me, like you said, it was very much what did you say? You said it was like a ideas board. That's what you said. And it kind of is. Like you can go up and just post things up and just see how it does, right? And just see that people resonate with that. And like obviously, because my audience is very small, you don't always get a lot of reaction, but things get a little bit of traction, and you're kind of like, maybe I have to do more of that. But then it also tie back to the why. And then the why can be really big. Like as in the why in the short term could be, for example, we could help people with Amazon, say. Like that's a skill. But the longer term why could be, something much bigger, but we just figure that out as we go along. Or we know where that is, but we just it can be shaped or grown as time goes on. Mm-hmm. So I really think for anyone listening to this, it's very much about figuring out your why. Like, why do you want to do this? And then like everything else, I don't say be damned, but like, don't let anything else hold you back from actually just doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
And that's kind of what I'm figuring out as time goes on.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So yeah, Alex, do you want anything to add before we close out?
No, I think we've covered enough. I reckon
it's a grand wee episode to roll us back in. We'll hopefully try and do a few more, because we have a goal, as you all know, and we aim to reach 100 episodes this year. I don't know how we're going on track with that, Alex. Do you have any idea? Are we on track for that? I think we need to increase the output slightly.
I don't think it makes any difference at this point. I don't think it makes any difference at this point.
Think we'll get
post stuff.
Oh, we'll keep posting. Oh no, we never miss a week anyway, bar unless you're sick.
Just post stuff.
Yeah, guys, I'll talk to you all very, very soon. Make sure to subscribe and let us know if you like that. If it kind of resonates with you, if you're in, why? Just figure it out. Figure out your why and everything in life. It's actually really revealing.
Yep. Good stuff. See you later.
All right, guys. Take care.